Yeah. I got this. Let's turn that.
Now are we good?
Perfect.
Okay. So, it is 7 PM, and I'm calling the Hamilton Planning Board meeting to order, the December 2nd, 2025 meeting to order. The meeting is being recorded, and because we have members appearing via Zoom, I will take a roll call. So when I call your name up, please indicate that you're present. Jonathan Poor,
Jonathan Poor, present.
Emil Dahlquist,
Emil Dahlquist, present.
Darcy Dale,
Darcy Dale, present.
Beth Herr,
Present.
Matt Hamill,
Present.
Jeff Austin,
Jeff Austin, present.
and Marnie Crouch, present. So the first item on our agenda is the review of the November 4th, 2025 minutes. Do I have a motion to approve those minutes?
I just have one tiny comment.
Oh, I was going to ask for comments, but I'll take them now. It doesn't matter. Okay. What's your comment?
Last paragraph, first page, Chair Crouch noted the wastewater treatment plants are regulated by Mass DEP, and it goes on to say monitoring requirements relating to such systems than it might want to say single-family septic systems. I know that was clear.
Single family.
Yeah, septic systems, just to separate package systems from single-family
Okay.
systems.
Any other? I know Darcy
Yes,
sent you.
yes, I do. Yeah, first paragraph, starting with Chair Crouch explained. If you go to line 6, it goes on, and could be enforced. The letter B is the word B is missing, so that should be inserted. And then on lines 4 and 5, where it says entirely counter with what, and the word was needs to be inserted there. Line 7 is stylistic. It says there is no one body. If they could change it to there is no single body. And let's see, the last paragraph, second to the last line, remove the word however. Then on page 2, third paragraph, where it says Merwin Walters, remove the comma and add, quote, and the seminary confirmed that the surveys. That's just a stylistic change too, but other than that, that's all I have.
I had a number of stylistic changes that I won't even bother to recite. I mean, they're very minor. So, Darcy, I think you sent your edits to Mark. I will hand him my edits, one of which is so minor, it's almost laughable. In the third line at the top, Hamilton Wenham Public Library, that's hyphenated. Just saying. And then, there was something about an FAQ. It's really FAQs with a small s. But I will give Mark my comment. So now I will entertain a motion to approve the minutes from November 18th.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
So please indicate that you approve the minutes as amended. Jonathan Poor,
Jonathan Poor, aye.
Emil Dahlquist,
Emil Dahlquist, aye.
Darcy Dale,
Darcy Dale, aye.
Beth Herr,
Aye.
and Marnie Crouch, aye. I'm going to deliver these to Mark.
Marnie, I just realized my last name is spelled wrong in there as well. Oops.
Oh, no.
Oh, no.
Oh, yeah. Ion.
Good catch. Jonathan is no longer poor, P-O-O-R.
Right,
We're glad that he's no longer poor.
right. There.
We're glad his economic status has improved.
Doesn't beat what the Gloucester Daily Times has done to my name over the years. Joe Hanahan versus Jonathan.
Freddie.
Okay, so the next item is a request for approval of a minor modification to a special permit. And I believe that this involves the replacement of the utility pole, which will now be slightly higher than what was originally contemplated. So now it will be 37 feet instead of something like
30 and a half.
30 and a half. Thank you. So is anyone here representing New Singular Wireless?
Yep. Hi, Ed Parry's here. Good evening. You thought you got rid of me, but I'm back.
Well, at least you didn't drive tonight.
No, I appreciate the accommodation on Zoom. It's a little windy out there.
If you had driven here, I would have been very upset.
Well, you have to do what you have to do. So, after going through, all of the machinations to get this site approved, the utility company then told us after all this that we need to replace the pole. We had initially proposed just to attach to the pole. We had a structural that was sufficient, but it might be the age of the pole. We don't control the pole, so they're requiring that we replace it. We feel it's a minor modification. It's the same pole. It's pole 7.5. It'll be shifted slightly. These, pole will be replaced. All of the wires will be installed. AT&T will install its equipment, and the existing pole will then be removed. It's all of this. It's the same antenna, same equipment. We think it's a minor modification. It's basically all we're doing. It was a site that was built by consensus between AT&T, the planning board, and the neighbors. So we're seeking approval of this minor modification, which is solely that we have to replace the pole instead of use the existing pole.
Well, I think anything that will improve cell coverage in Hamilton has my vote. So
Thank you.
is there any discussion about this from any board members?
No.
Then I will entertain a motion to approve the request for a minor modification to the special permit.
I move that we approve this minor modification.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, so when I call your name, please indicate your assent. Jonathan Poor,
Jonathan Poor, aye.
Emil Dahlquist,
Emil Dahlquist, aye.
Darcy Dale,
Darcy Dale, aye.
Beth Herr,
Aye.
and Marnie Crouch, aye. Congratulations, Mr. Parry.
Thank you all very much. I do apologize for this, but your accommodation was great. I'm glad I didn't drive out for a brief session like this. And thank you all. Happy holidays to everybody.
Yeah, happy holidays to you.
Take care.
Thank you. Thank you, Mark.
Good night.
Good night.
What a nice man. Okay, so the next item is a request for partial release of covenant of Form K on 0 Meyer Road. And Mark, I have read your staff memorandum. However, I'm puzzled by this because was this property the subject of some intense litigation back in the day, or am I thinking of someplace else in town?
If I may, good evening.
Oh, yes.
My name is Connor Walsh. I'm here from Glovsky & Glovsky, offices at 8 Washington Street in Beverly, on behalf of Charlotte McCarthy, as trustee of her trust and the owner of this property. This particular property, the 0 Meyer Road, I'm not aware of any litigation surrounding it.
Okay, so that I know in that area, there was some property that involved litigation. It preceded my time on the planning board. It just lingers in my mind. So this 0 Meyer Road, that's a 4-acre parcel, am I correct?
No, it's 49,000 square feet or so.
So why is it listed for sale as 0 Meyer Lane? It's listed for sale.
Well, this is Meyer Road, not Meyer Lane. That may be the difference.
That's the difference then. So this is Meyer Road. My apologies then, this is Meyer Road. Well, too bad your client doesn't own 0 Meyer Lane, because that's on the market for $799,000. Okay, so please proceed.
So, I mean, if I may, to briefly summarize the history of the property, my client, Charlotte McCarthy, and her late husband had a definitive subdivision plan approved by this board in 2001. which created 3 new lots and resulted in the creation of a private way, Alexander Way, which is off Meyer Road, and services 2 of the properties. As part of that approval process, there was a planning board covenant granted by the McCarthys to the planning board, in essence to ensure the timely and satisfactory completion of that private way. The road has long since been completed. There's a recorded partial release for one of the other properties up kind of towards the cul-de-sac portion of this land, as you see on the plan. And the McCarthys retained 2 of the lots, which if you look at the plan, it's lots A1 and A2. Lot A2 contains what was their existing house. Lot A1 is an undeveloped parcel to the left there. The lots merged by virtue of law as a result of a zoning change where this zoning district was upped from 40,000 square feet minimum lot area to 80,000 square feet. You know, I first started speaking with Mrs. McCarthy probably 3 years ago, trying to explore what she might be able to do with this parcel. And in the meantime, the legislature passed the Affordable Homes Act, which, among other things, dramatically changed the merger doctrine. And this parcel, thankfully for Mrs. McCarthy, is the poster child for the kinds of situations that the legislature was trying to address. And so subject to certain restrictions, being that the house can only be 1,850 square feet of heated space, I believe the language is, and has to be 3+ bedrooms. This now reverts back to being a buildable lot. Ms. McCarthy found a buyer. She's under contract to sell this lot, and during title due diligence, this planning board covenant was discovered to have never been formally released by the planning board as it relates to that lot A1, which is really the reason why we're here before you tonight, is to just seek or to request a partial release of that lot A1 as to allow, you know, the cloud on title to be removed and the sale to proceed. So I'm happy to answer any questions that the board may have.
Which is, I can't read, which is lot A1 on the,
This lot here, the lot,
that one, okay,
yeah, not on Alexander Way, the lot next door.
okay.
So A1 and A2 were combined at one point, or that can,
Unintentionally, yeah, so there are certain
and that's been,
there are certain mechanisms
Yeah.
that you can do to avoid that merger. That never happened. The owners weren't aware of this zoning change, and then all of a sudden, it essentially merged the 2 of them to bring her lot at 60 Meyer Road
Yeah.
closer to conformance.
but isn't it, excuse me, isn't ARA zone? then?
Yes.
Okay.
And so, but now that this Affordable Homes Act has
Yeah.
changed, you know, we've spoken extensively with the building department about this. And everybody seems to be on board that this does kind of fit the criteria laid out by the legislature there. And so, yeah, so now thankfully, the timing was fortunate, as Mrs. McCarthy was looking for something to do with that land, which is currently just unimproved and essentially just a wooded area next to her home. And this has now allowed her to hopefully sell it, to be used as a single family.
And the covenant applies to the way that was created?
That was the purpose of it, was to secure that the Alexander Way was completed.
So in some sense, it's really just a deed encumbrance. It has nothing to do with access or frontage,
No,
because
that's-
A1 has frontage.
That's
So it's
correct.
really just an encumbrance, an
That's all
unnecessary
is, yeah.
encumbrance. Got it.
A1 has no access from
Right.
Alexander Way. It really has nothing to do with it outside of
Okay.
being in the same subdivision.
Yep.
Okay, yeah, that was it. That was interesting. I looked at this a little bit, this doctrine of merger. I mean, it happened really just by operation of common law. And then this legislature, wow, what prompted them to think of that? You know, well, anyhow, they did, so the
Yeah, I mean,
client is the
truthfully,
beneficiary.
I'd suspect that there were a number of people who found themselves in the same position that the McCarthys did, where unbeknownst to them, they lost what they thought was a buildable lot. And, you know, I can say in my practice, I've come across probably 10 similar situations where folks lost the ability to sell off a buildable lot. And that obviously has an economic impact on people. And, you know, we're also dealing with a housing shortage in general, so I think that was part of the
Right,
motivation
yeah,
as well.
no, makes sense, makes perfect sense. Okay, any further questions for our attorney here? Any discussion? Okay, so would someone like to move to approve the request for a partial release?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, so when I call your name, please indicate your assent. Jonathan Poor,
Jonathan Poor, aye.
Emil Dahlquist,
Emil Dahlquist, aye.
Darcy Dale,
Darcy Dale, aye.
Beth Herr,
Aye.
and Marnie Crouch, aye.
Thank you.
Do we have to endorse anything on this?
Well, that's what I was gonna suggest. I'd be happy to notarize this if it would be helpful for you folks to sign. It needs to be signed by a majority of the planning boards. I would defer to Mr. Connors as to whether we have a majority present.
We
but,
do.
Yeah.
If that's the case, if you'd be so willing. I
Yep,
would-
we have 4 out of 7.
Actually, we only have 4 who can sign tonight, but
But that
that's,
we have,
that's
it's
a, ma-
seven, yeah,
yeah,
that's
that's a majority,
yep,
yeah.
We
yeah,
only have
we're
7 on the
good.
board, so.
So that works. I have the form here if you
Yep.
folks would be. I would need to see one driver's license to be able to notarize it. I'll defer to you, I'll let you guys draw straws as to.
I don't have my driver's license with me, so it's not me. Oh, actually, I have an old
I
driver.
should have signed it as Margaret then. Shoot.
What?
Because my driver's license is under
Oh.
Margaret. I don't know if that
Now
will
we
pose.
know.
Do you want
Yeah,
my?
the secret.
I can sign it again if it poses a problem.
Whenever we want to get her attention now. So Margaret?
Yep.
Do we have to do anything with request to, with respect to AT&T's minor modification?
I'll just write up a brief notice of decision for you to sign, Marnie.
Okay,
Yep.
Did somebody give you a license? I can give you a license if, oh,
Thank you. Did you sign this freely and voluntarily?
oh, yes, I do. It's my free act indeed.
Thank you very much, folks.
Thanks.
Thank you. Safe travels back to wherever you live.
Not far, thankfully, so that's,
Thank you.
Wow, this is a record for us.
Yeah.
7:17.
Woo. We have no audience, really.
It's weird not having people here.
You're like, what is going on?
Wow. So, other business, discussion of presentation, outreach, and other preparations for the special town meeting.
Can I just ask one question? Mark had put a note on his email to, that the ZBA is scheduled to review a project on Bay Road.
Oh, do you want to discuss
Do you wanna
that
do that?
now?
You wanna
Yeah, let's
wait?
do that now. We can do that now. That's very interesting, that ZBA application. Proceed.
Pull it up.
Well, I just, I guess there's nobody here to represent that project, but.
Well, no,
What is it that we're being asked to do in this?
I'm sorry?
What is it that we're being asked to do? It's a-
Really, it's a ZBA application, so it's not in front of the planning board right now. The reason I notified you of it is because if the ZBA were to approve it, it would go to the planning board for a site plan review. And it's just the application that has generated some discussion, so it seemed appropriate to let you know that it was, pending.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, I'm familiar with that property on Route 1A. I think anybody who's lived in town long enough knows that barn. It's relatively dilapidated, but it's not very big. And at one time, I think a fellow by the name of Joey Sargent had a car repair place there, and I know he worked on horse trailers. So the proposal is to expand that building as well as construct other buildings. So from what I ascertained, the pre-existing non-conforming use was as a car repair place or maybe used car sales there, and there was apartment above. And what's being proposed is a number of buildings and also 3 apartments and several offices. So it's fairly expansive. So just for your edification, the ZBA, if I am correct, would have to make determinations as to the non-conforming use, and they could only approve this project if it determines that such change shall not be substantially more detrimental than the existing non-conforming use to the neighborhood. That's section 5.2 of our zoning bylaw. And then section 5.3 is a similar determination that the change shall not be substantially more detrimental than the existing non-conforming structure to the neighborhood. So it appears that some of the abutters, a condominium association across the street, have raised concerns about this. So it would definitely, if it were to be approved, come before the planning board for site plan review. But from what I looked at the drawings, it's certainly a much different site than what exists there now.
So, Mark, do you have any idea what the proposed uses are? I understand office and apartment, but there's parking for up to 22 cars indoors, and I didn't count the parking spaces outdoors. So and it says storage, but that seems storing 22 cars. It's a puzzle what's being used for. So when it comes to us for site plan review only makes sense when we have context around the proposed use.
I think, Jonathan, you assume that the ZBA will approve this.
I'm not assuming anything.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
just saying, if it comes to us,
Yeah.
the preparation that I would want to make for myself
yeah.
is to understand what the proposed use is. So,
I had the same question. I spoke to Brian Stein briefly about it. He said so there's 4 buildings being proposed. The gentleman that's proposing it has a company, I want to say it's a building company. He mentioned equipment like levelers, things like that he would want to store in 2 of the buildings. The other 2 buildings he would plan to rent out for office. And one of the buildings has apartments.
so you're saying contractor equipment? When
what
you
it
said
sounded like.
leveler, that's like a road grader?
Yep.
Okay, so that takes a double deep bay. So they're 40-foot deep bays. So they're like, 12 feet wide, 40 feet deep. So that'd be either 2 cars or a large piece of construction equipment.
Yeah, I mean, I asked him, are these big trucks? And he said that it was smaller equipment. So this is showing 9x9 garage doors. But this is, in order to do any type of building in Hamilton with more than 4 garage bays, you need a special permit typically. This is a weird situation because they get around it from the non-conforming piece. But, I think that would be an argument that might be raised at the ZBA, that typically a use like this would require additional zoning relief.
Yeah, so obviously I'm not trying to do the zoning board's work for them, but I'm just trying to understand more context for when the site plan review comes, if and when the site plan review comes before us. So that would be a major question for me, is what's the proposed use?
Right, well,
I understand what you just said. There's a couple of bays that I've used for the owner's contracting equipment. Then the offices, the rentals, the apartments, and maybe some of the auto spaces will also be rented out.
Yeah, 2 of the buildings are, from what I understand, 2 are for the owner, and then 2 would be rented out as offices mostly, and then 1 building has 3 apartments on the upper floor.
so who would be the special permit granting authority if a special permit is required? Would it be the planning board? Because there's nothing in section 5 of the zoning bylaw that says that the ZBA would be an entity granting a special permit, if I'm right, that section 5.2 and 5.3 would apply.
Yeah, I reached out to the town's attorney about it, and she gave me an opinion. I can give it to you, but I would be very surprised if the ZBA makes this decision tomorrow night. It might be something where, they ask for modifications to the plan. I'd expect some modifications, so, but typically under the bylaw, the ZBA, I believe, is the special permit authority for garage questions.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, but even if it were to come to us for site plan review, I mean, it doesn't appear that there's anything about lighting on these plans, so that would certainly have some impact on abutting property owners, and these plans don't show abutting properties, and they don't show the properties across Bay Road that could be affected by, which significantly more traffic than what exists now. I mean, that old barn, I don't even know if it was had any structural integrity, and it's probably being torn down. Is it being torn down?
It's being torn down, yes.
Oh, comes down.
Yeah, so they would need a stormwater permit in order to do this. They'd need site plan approval, so they would have to improve the plan. They'd have to change the plans, provide us a lot more information if it makes it past CBA.
That was the next thing I was going to ask about is drainage. A significant amount more impervious area. And the abutters are in some places very, very close. And the buildings are pressed against the setback lines.
Right,
And also, I'm trying to imagine the maneuvering inside that property if you have trucking, construction equipment.
right, if there
Yeah,
were a
I-
fire, if you had to get a
Yeah.
fire truck in there.
Well, even getting things in and out of those garage bays would be
Yes.
challenging.
You can't do it.
Yeah, you can't get
There's
out,
not enough,
you can't get out of
that
that.
whole area is gonna get paved in the middle,
Yeah. So.
and there goes the coverage.
Right, right. So you can't back out of the last bays, and there's not enough depth to back out of the right-hand garage.
Yeah.
So those are just some questions around site
Is there
plan review.
considerations
But
with
but again, it all really boils down to what the proposed use is.
Yeah. Yeah.
Are there any considerations for contractor vehicles of that size and nature versus just cars and trucks in a garage?
Well,
think
not,
that would-
Safety
so
or?
that's a
That would be a good
ZBA,
argument. I think that would be more detrimental, right? Because
Yeah.
it more impacts the neighborhood.
but that's not our jurisdiction.
Love it.
Yeah, so it's really pre-existing non-conforming use, and,
And is 1A a state road?
yes.
And so right now, it has no curb cut, it's just a vast sea of crushed stone meeting Bay Road. And that curb cut, though, is being moved, is it being moved leftward into the undisturbed area?
Yeah.
They have like a little row of rock, like big boulders in front.
So in some sense, it's a change of curb cut on a state road.
Yes.
Yeah, so I was just, can you turn, go that way? I want to look that over there.
Oh, sorry. The laptop.
Yeah, so it's definitely a change of curb cut, because right now the curb cut is limited to lining up with the existing left bay of the building.
Right.
So the curb cut's moving a good 40 feet to the left on a state road. So that would be another, that's a state question, but it's still related to site plan review. And I don't know what the sight lines are like, in that spot. I know it's a pretty dangerous corner at Gardner and Moulton.
Right. Okay, well, Mark, do you attend the ZBA meetings?
I do.
Okay, so you have heard our remarks, so it's at this point outside of our purview, but we did have some comments. Okay, so now we can turn to the discussion of our presentation at the special town meeting. So, has everyone had an opportunity to look at the FAQs? Emil and I did attend an information center, a session at the Council on Aging this late morning today, and we did pass out the FAQs, but in the meantime, I did find a few very minor edits to the FAQs, and I'm wondering if anyone else had any edits or any concerns about the answers, and we can discuss these, because ideally, these will be a handout at the special town meeting.
You said you had edits on this particular copy that we have here?
I passed them on to Mark.
Okay.
I can tell, they were very minor.
All right.
You know, several just involved capitalization. It's so easy to spell town with a capital T or a small t, and sub-districts was,
Yeah, okay.
sometimes the district was capitalized, sometimes not. And then I think there were, I can find it.
That's okay. That's all right.
They were minor. You picked them up, Mike, Mark,
Yes,
yeah.
yep.
So, and the other thing we did at this information session, we passed out the little flyer about Gordon Conwell Theological Seminary, the Mandel family, and I found that to be utterly fascinating. So, Mark, thank you very much for doing
Yeah,
this.
sure.
thank you. And also you did the Browns Hill overlay, this flyer.
So this
I didn't
is,
see that.
I was just to show you something we could do. This is all the content from the
Pretty neat.
two-pager.
Oh, this
It's,
is, where did this come from?
So
Mark.
all the text is from the two-pager. It's just, what we could do is try to put it in a, like a prettier format if you wanted, but.
Oh, yeah,
It's
is
a
that
pretty
in,
nice,
yeah,
Nice
is,
job on that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I think it breaks it up, because I think people just go deer in the headlights with
Yeah.
all the words, so I think it actually, it gives you a vision for what the campus is.
where'd you
Yeah.
find it?
Yeah, I think that was a great idea.
Put in here.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you do.
Thanks, this, oh, that's yours, okay. Oh, heck, Mark, I didn't see that.
It's right after the FAQs.
I would definitely support the 4-page version.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah,
Otherwise, you drown in words.
yeah.
yeah, I
Yep.
think it's great.
You have a career in publishing.
We love it.
No, much better than,
Yeah, people can read it in chunks. It's good.
yeah, great. Oh, so you could just make my edits to this.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah, great job.
Really nice. So, other than congratulating Mark on a job very well done, does anybody else have any comments on this?
That's gonna be part of the that'll be a handout at the,
Yes.
okay.
Do we want to post this flyer anywhere beforehand. I feel like sometimes it's good to get information out before.
Right, Joe often posts on Facebook on the Hamilton one.
And we could post actually this flyer with the pictures.
Yeah,
Yeah,
And then we
could,
can post it, if you post it on the Hamilton, I can put it on some pages, or he can, whatever.
and
But
there's the
I-
other Hamilton site, Hamilton Commons, is it?
Yep,
It could be posted there as
Yes.
well, I assume.
yeah, and the Hamilton residents only page, and there's a community
Yeah.
page. So I'm a big supporter of getting more information out and having some of the conversations, because we heard today some things. I happen to be also at the Council on Aging. So, I think the more we let people vent their stuff, hopefully the less comes out at town meeting.
So are
Because
we,
it's already been vented. I think we learned that with the whole school consolidation, because a lot of stuff was talked about beforehand, and so then when we got to town meeting, it wasn't a lot of new information.
right, so is there consensus that we should use this as a handout?
Yes,
Also post it on social media and, we
Yes.
could even just leave it at, I
It should
don't,
be, I mean,
like,
we have in
make
the
it a bit-
past used, on the steering committee for the master plan, we used the library as, put information here.
Yeah, I was thinking
and the
that.
COA would be a good place to put it too.
COA, yeah.
Because they had the town meeting warrant today.
yeah,
So to put this at the COA, because they're likely to read something like this, and they're also likely to come potentially.
Okay.
Because I think, you know, that's just my thoughts are usually, when you're on a fixed income, you're more concerned about revenue. So when you see something that relates to it,
I don't know if we could leave copies at the Honeycomb, but that's a
Yeah,
hot
no, that's not a
spot.
bad idea.
yeah,
That's a hot spot.
I bet you could ask a manager or something and see. But we probably would need to get those out sooner than later.
Oh, for sure.
So my only comment is that originally when messing with this, it was a lot of words and it'd be nice to get the title bigger, but there was no room. But now there's more room. If there's any way to make the title a bit bigger,
Yeah.
Love that.
you know, because this was like wrestling with, you know, can you eliminate a period or a comma to make it fit? Whereas this has more
Right.
breathing room. Make a good thing even better.
Yes.
Yeah, I'll play with this in the morning and maybe just do that, maybe try to eliminate some of the white space, and finalize it by tomorrow and we can get it out.
Yeah, if you want to reach out, I might be able to drop those off for you, pick them up over, if you print them out,
Okay,
and then I can see about Honeycomb as well, if that's helpful.
sure.
I wouldn't worry about the white space. Again, it gives just a rest.
Okay.
relief.
Yeah.
Yep,
I would just focus on getting that title bigger.
sure.
And, you know, while you're posting things and dropping things off, this,
Well, definitely at the
Flyer
COA, I could see them being very
Yeah.
interested in reading this little
Yeah.
thing.
Tiny comment on that, just again, format-wise. The very top, the attribution information provided by the Town of Hamilton Planning Department. It's so close to the margins, it's getting cut off.
Yeah,
oh, yeah.
So if you can just scooch something down a little bit so it doesn't get cut off.
sure.
Maybe put that information in the yellow box underneath the
Yeah, you could put it
prominent
as a
part.
subhead under
Figure
your
it out.
title.
It could be italicized and small, but at
Yep.
least people could see it.
That's great.
But again, very nice presentation.
Above and beyond, I like it.
We hit the jackpot with our planning director, didn't we?
I
know.
think so.
Marketing. So good, okay.
Okay, so maybe we could talk about the slides that Emil put together.
Yeah, just in terms of timing, I guess, Mark got us a day or two extra for town moderator because he wanted slides by the 2nd of December. And he's, we are to either approve or change tonight, if you're gonna change anything, or tomorrow. He needs it tomorrow, so that's sort of our timeline at this stage.
Okay, great. You
Yeah. Do you want to do like a run
want to go through it?
I could, if you want to, then, go through it quickly.
What do you think, Marnie?
If you would like, it's certainly,
Would
Well,
that
Randy
help
will-
the planning board? So the idea is to kind of, Emil's gonna do the lion's share of the presentation at special town meeting. Would it be helpful for you to get an idea of what the presentation will entail tonight?
I've seen it, so
Okay.
So,
I saw it today.
but
Here's a-
actually,
here's a
we
thought,
didn't,
though,
we
when-
didn't go through all of it.
Okay.
So what, the feedback that we got, or at least the comment I got, so let's, are there page numbers on these?
Well, first of all, how much time is the presentation supposed to be for at town meeting? Like, do we have a time amount that we're trying to set aside?
So, yeah, so it's not just gonna be Emil, it's gonna be Marnie's gonna make a brief introduction, then it goes to Emil for the most of it. I'm gonna do 2 slides on talking about the groundwater protection district.
And that's you, right?
Yep. And then it'll go to Bill Olson, who'll talk mostly about the development agreement.
He has 2 slides.
Right, and you have 2 slides.
And then after today, this morning, I had said to Marnie, I think it might be worthwhile for us to add a section of the biggest objections, which sounds like he's gonna be talking about the groundwater protection overlay district, which is one of them. And then today it came out, I don't know if there's others objections, but I almost feel like we're better off bursting the bubble instead of, because the air kind of went out of the room when people share things and they take all the attention and then everybody's up in arms a little bit, whatever. So, one of the people who was there was, I overheard at the end saying they were gonna bring up the Bridge Street issue. So maybe, I don't know, I just thought, I don't want us to get distracted, and I wonder if it's better for us to say, we know people weren't happy about the Bridge Street situation, and just like nip it in the bud
Well-
before an abutter gets up and then starts saying their thing, and then we're off target.
Okay,
But if
so
we say it
let me
first,
get- let-
yeah, so we can
let me-
come back to that.
I know just where to put it, though. Mark, with respect to the groundwater protection overlay district in that particular slide, what you could add there is that the planning board amended the stormwater management bylaw in compliance with that new revised, much more robust stormwater management bylaw is required in the Browns Hill overlay district.
and it addresses steep slopes.
Right.
Because we saw that there was an issue with the,
Yes.
and we
You could say-
actively, yeah.
Yeah.
My only, I
we
just want
fixed
to
it.
not have the energy go out of the
Sure.
room because
No,
somebody.
you're right, right, and
Yeah.
that's where it should go. When we talk about the GPOD, we should talk about stormwater management at the
Great,
same time.
perfect. And I don't know if there's any other objections that come up as we're thinking about it, but those were the 2 that I had
Well,
written
the
down.
other thing that came up, and this was, these are the most difficult questions to address, and they don't really involve the Browns Hill overlay district. So one of the first questions was, has anybody really evaluated the cost, of the children in the school? Well, that's not a land use issue, but it is an issue for certain people in town. So they, focus on one element, so the revenue stream. And so there's been a lot of talk that this development agreement in concert with the Browns Hill Overlay District will generate revenue for the town. It will generate revenue for the town. The sale of the buildings, those buildings will go on the tax rolls, and there will be increased revenue. That revenue can be offset by the cost of educating the children, but that's something I think that Bill Olson has to address vis-à-vis the development agreement. Because it's really not something that we could amend further, even if that were possible, the Browns Hill Overlay District to talk about revenue from apartments. That's the select board has to hit that nail on the head. And really, or the FinCom can address it. Either way, it's tied to the number of children that may live in the apartments or any potential development of the site. And that, of course, would happen over time. There's no way of truly ascertaining how many children will be in the school. There are 40 now. How many?
Well, I think the Gamble consultant that Mark forwarded to me, because I wanted to look at those numbers, it's 0.18 students for 200, for the current layout, and that would be about 38 students, which we have 40 right now.
Is that just for the apartments?
Yes, that's for the current situation.
Right.
Would be, so I think it turned into 38, and we have 40, so basically whatever the consultants came out with. Single-family homes were 1.2 children per home. I did explain to someone, because they were concerned, and I'm like, you realize that $1 million house or $1 million property is not gonna cover even the cost of one child. So I think people don't really understand how the whole school budget impacts. So, and then we also have to consider the fact that those 40 kids that are currently in the school system are getting no tax revenue. So to me, we need to look at the incremental, if there's gonna be an incremental increase, that's where it would come off of the $500,000 in revenue that would be newly generated, because right now we have 40 kids in the schools. I think, I just looked at it differently than FinCom did, so, and then we did I asked Jane Dooley, the assessor, and she did come back to me yesterday that the estimated assessed value based on rental costs or prices would be about 35 million, which would bring in about 500,000 or 530,000, something like that. And that is a different number than FinCom came in. So I'm going back and forth with John McGrath right now, asking the questions, because I don't know if they already, the way they did their numbers with kids, they kind of just they didn't do net, like, new kids. They just said 50 kids is gonna cost this, but some of that's already being paid for. Does that make sense, Jonathan? You look confused.
What you're saying is there's already 40 kids in the school system
And we get no-
from the apartments.
Correct.
Yes, that we get no, okay.
And we get no revenue right now. So to
That
me.
that would be a point for the FinCom to
Right.
make
highlight.
clearly.
So I'm trying to go over that with John. I haven't watched all of their meetings, so I don't know if they've talked about that. I looked at the graphic he sent me today, and it didn't really clarify that, so I think that's an important difference. 40B also came up, and we talked about, if you have 3 bedrooms with 40B, you have to have people in each of the bedrooms, so you're more likely to have kids. So there's some confusion about what are, because you basically brought up, we could have another nonprofit come in and buy the units. What are the alternatives? And if another nonprofit comes in, we're still gonna have kids in the school system potentially, and we're still not gonna get revenue. We could have a 40B come in, and to me, it's a known quantity. We know what already exists. We know more than half of them are either studios or 1 bedrooms. So it's just trying to figure out, helping people process, because some people were getting confused because FinCom came back and said, we're only gonna get about $100,000 a year in revenue, and originally they heard we were getting 500,000, so people feel a little like bait and switch maybe, so we were chatting
Yeah,
about it.
And this is something that really has to be addressed by the FinCom, because
Correct.
it's really not.
Our thing,
It's
I
not a-
know.
Please try again.
I didn't like that answer.
Is that you? I'll try again. But anyhow.
I know, I have done my own due diligence.
No, but I think it's very important that John McGrath be able to,
And he might not have had the assessed value. He basically assumed it was gonna be, his assumptions were $100,000 a unit, and this comes out to an average of $170,000, that 35 million number that I got from the assessor. So he may need to make some changes because he may not have known those things. He might
Right.
not have had
Well,
that
I think
information.
you need to have a conversation with him.
I'm emailing him
And he has.
in writing,
And then.
so we know.
And then, it's too bad what the question wasn't recorded, but that's gonna be one of the questions that he is asked, his assumption about the
Right.
cost. But see, the way I look at it, even if the revenue is less than what's anticipated, we still get the monetary contribution of, it's gonna be, 300,
I think it's like 500,000 up front, Myron. What is,
it's
how much of the
100
two?
100 and 300, 400 up front.
400,
So we
okay.
still get 400 up front, and the alternatives are bad. So it's not just, your decision should not be made, this is the point that we can make. It should not be made based on just one criteria. It shouldn't be made just based on revenue. It shouldn't be made just based on, you don't like the wastewater treatment plant. You have to look at the bigger picture about what is gained
Yeah, there's a lot of
and
variables.
what is lost. So what is lost?
But I think, I agree with you 100%, but I think what's important, and maybe, I don't know if Beth, you were alluding to this, but Jonathan's calculation should be, and he may have already done this, because sometimes he does it and he puts it on the website 4 pages deep, I don't know where it is, but put the calculations out there so people can analyze it before the meeting.
Yes, yes.
Well, it is in the packet that, I believe that's at the, COA,
You
so,
can go on the town webpage and you don't even have to look, it's right on the front page, the warrants
yeah, I
there.
mean, we could
And the
post that
fin-
too. I think
the
it's
FinCom-
worthwhile having that kind of
This
conversation.
would be out before, right? Yep.
But I think maybe, I don't know. I mean, he may say, oh, yeah, I still think my numbers are right. And so, but I think clearly what I got from the assessor yesterday is a very different number than he was working with.
Right.
And so, and I just want to make sure that when he was doing his numbers, he's thinking like the 40 that's already on the campus needs to almost be, it's above the 40 that we start counting, because right now, we're getting no revenue for those 40. And so I'm trying to put myself in the average voter's mind and trying to keep it as simple as possible.
Right, no, and I applaud you for making that effort, absolutely. So I think that the FinCom has to address that.
Yep.
With respect to the wastewater treatment plant, I mean, we've said over and over and over again, it's the DEP
Right.
oversees that plant. And if you think about single-family houses on the site with individual septic systems, so the Board of Health approves the septic system and is involved at its creation, and then when it fails. And the rest of the time, all bets are off. So with the wastewater treatment plant being monitored daily by, I think daily, am I correct? I mean, record keeping has to happen. Merwin, is it correct that wastewater treatment plant is monitored every day?
Yeah, someone on site 3 to 4 hours every day during the week.
Yeah. So, I
And
mean,
I think you mentioned to me, maybe Marnie, I can't remember, but did he, with 40B, the GPOD,
could be the subject of a waiver.
they
because-
may not be, yeah, so that they may waive any GPOD if there was a 40B project on site because it's a local regulation and not a state.
Right.
So that, I think, those are in the weeds a little bit, but they may be things that pop up in conversations between now and then.
So let's think about this. So,
That might be good for you, Mark, on that GPOD presentation, is mentioning the 40B may or may not be, if there was a 40B, I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know.
any local regulation you can request a waiver from, so GPOD is a local regulation.
Right.
Well, it
And I
seems
think
like
another point on GPOD is, I remember when the planning board recommended that change so that it's 80,000 square feet per dwelling unit.
Yep.
The reason, I remember Jonathan saying the reason for that, a big reason for that is because of septic systems. You have so many septic systems. Well, we don't have septic systems on this site. It's required under the development agreement that any development hook into the wastewater treatment
Right,
plant.
right.
So
Right.
it's,
So it's sort of off the subject is the
yeah,
point here.
it wasn't the reason,
Wasn't the reason to tighten that, the
exactly.
bylaw.
Exactly.
That's for single-family residences,
Yeah.
so. And the other thing, not to get lost on this, but what happened in the past with residential applications is they wanted to completely eliminate the application of the GPOD on the other cluster housing projects. And here, we're not eliminating the GPOD, we're just applying the parts that are applicable. So it's to compare the situation at the two,
Canterbrook.
at Canterbrook and at
Patton Ridge, yeah.
Patton Ridge is again apples and batteries. They have nothing to do with each other.
Right.
Because there, what they wanted to do is eliminate any discussion of the GPOD. We haven't eliminated the discussion of it. All of the applicable sections are fully in force. So those are all things to put to bed if they come up.
Right.
So the other thing that hasn't been mentioned is the traffic issue, and again, that's
Oh,
not
right.
really planning board's issue, but an interesting note, I think, is that I think that Marwin had mentioned that at the peak of the residents, the enrollment of the seminary, that we basically are at the same density of traffic that we would be at full build-out of what's proposed in the BHOD. So they're not exactly the same, but they're similar.
Well, with respect to that, in the development agreement, the seminary has agreed to pay $20,000 toward a traffic study.
Right.
Okay? And then with the special permit process, we can require a traffic study.
Right.
So,
So anyway, that's going to come up, and we just need to be, to Beth's point, be proactive about things. Try to put it to bed before the public gets up and makes
Like,
noise
we
about
already
it.
know about it.
Yes.
We understand these are the objections. These are how we feel about those objections. But if somebody, they get up and they say their emotional thing, and people who aren't paying attention get sucked in.
so here's the question. So I think with respect to any questions, we have to understand who answers what question. So if there's a question about revenue and costs, so revenue's one thing, revenue coming in, and costs are another. So if we get this revenue cost question, should that be answered by John McGrath? Probably yes. If we get a traffic question, should that be answered by Bill Olson? I would say probably yes, because of the $20,000 set forth in the development agreement to do a traffic study. And also, I think Dr. Sundquist said today that the police and fire were on the campus, and they recommended making the access
On Woodbury.
not on Woodbury.
Two-way.
He said Woodbury, but I think he meant Bridge Street.
I'm not sure whether, yeah.
I
is it
thought-
Bridge?
I
think it's
It's
Bridge.
Bridge, isn't it?
Yeah. I think he was yeah.
I think he meant to say Bridge and inadvertently said Woodbury.
Oh, yeah, that
So
would,
he corrected himself.
yes.
Nobody in the audience picked up on that, and I was wondering.
I was surprised,
because-
actually.
Because of the sidelines, whether who was suggesting that, but
Well,
anyway, it should have been.
the
but-
Okay, so
sideline-
that would actually be a better place for it to go two-way traffic. That Woodbury wouldn't be as good, I don't think, right?
No,
Yeah,
the,
so that's
no,
one.
it-
That's
yeah,
good.
but.
Woodbury
but
would be
that's
dangerous.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but, it's like the other intersections that's bad is Miles River Road. So we have bad intersections all over town. So, yeah, the sightlines could be improved, and maybe that's something that the traffic study will recommend.
But I think Bridge is not too bad. I mean, I think it's fine.
Yeah, I don't,
A worse intersection is Woodbury and Essex.
that's horrible.
It's ranked as one of the worst.
Yeah,
And it's easily fixed, and it is affected by traffic moving around Gordon Conwell. So
well, the problem is.
it's a sightline issue.
But it's also a speed issue.
Yes.
It's really a speed issue, because You got
There
the
are
sight
easily
line.
fixed sightlines,
You
but
look
off the,
one way, you
off the
look another.
subject,
And
So,
off the
pulling
subject,
ourselves back in.
yes.
Okay, so if cost goes to John McGrath,
Yep.
traffic goes to Bill Olson, and then anything about the GPOD and stormwater management goes to Mark,
Okay.
and
And can I just ask a clarifying question? So
Sure.
as a citizen, I can say, if, depending on how numbers come out, as a citizen, I could share my own thoughts, not as a planning board member.
at the meeting,
Correct.
sure.
Okay. I'm just saying if I feel like, I think I did that, well, I don't know if I did that with 3A or not, but anyways, I just think,
I should qualify that, only if you support this. No, just kidding.
I'm not saying what I support. I just think that sometimes people need a different way to hear something, or maybe, so I just wanted to say I may.
Absolutely. The only other thing that came up was that, that one of the abutters wanted a deed restriction on the entire campus to essentially fix the provisions of the BHOD onto the campus. And Dr. Sundquist rightly said he would have to go to his board of directors to get approval for that, and the likelihood is that he would not get that approval. And it,
But we still have a vote. Like, if it was ever gonna change, you still have a whole process to go through. It doesn't just like somebody decides to make a change. So
Right, and
there
I-
are other,
and I can't see the town of Hamilton all of a sudden going, wow, let's develop this campus so there's not a tree, a shrub, or a brush. Let's pave paradise.
Agreed.
I can't see that happening. So, you know, never say never. In 50 years, it could be a whole different world. But from what we've observed as planning board, it's a very conservative town in terms of change. So I think if they adopt this Browns Hill overlay district, they're not going to say, we would like to see more intense development on this site as opposed to less. Would you agree?
Yeah. It seems, it seems that we spent, I mean, the whole presentation, the part that I'm doing is a technical document, and we didn't get any kind of response from the public on the technical document. In fact,
Except I did get a response on.
FAR,
On the FAR, like, it just.
that was not a
well, and
problem.
I think also, anytime we need,
But-
use acronyms, so like you said, A and R, I know we get it, but like people are gonna go deer in the headlights, so.
And what I was getting at was, and all these questions that we've just been talking about need to be addressed. We have to be available to answer questions. So I assume that the Q and A is gonna happen after the presentation,
Yeah,
when the public gets up and speak. And then
Yep.
somebody has to be designated to respond to some of those questions, and I'm not sure how that's gonna happen. Do you do it in real time, or or do you kind of collect? You know, is the moderator gonna collect comments?
I think
and
it's-
then somebody is gonna be asked to address
well,
them?
They're usually by person.
So,
you move the motion, there's a second, then there's the presentation,
right,
and then there's the discussion, and then the vote. Am I
Well, people
correct?
come up and, yeah,
Yeah.
and share, and then if somebody has a question, that's when we would answer those.
Yes, and
so
I
it'd be right
just,
after the question.
Yeah,
So-
for
Yeah.
each individual person. We don't collect all the questions and
Yeah.
answer.
yeah, so I think that anything with respect to the overlay district itself, its provisions and its metrics get addressed by the planning board. We've already, GPOD and stormwater management, we've designated Mark, and anything more geared toward the development agreement would have to go to the select board,
Okay.
I think. But we need to
Yes,
coordinate.
for sure.
this.
Yeah.
We need to coordinate
Yeah.
this
Yeah.
with them, because I think we're,
Well,
I
what-
don't know
what I-
whether they discussed this at their meeting last night or not, but I suspect we might be, you know, a step ahead of them in terms of our preparation.
I think so.
I just wonder if, in some way that, we have to hand over the slides to the moderator tomorrow. But, so if
So-
there are any changes, it's gonna be pretty minor. But what we're not handing over are notes, we're talking about each
Right.
one of the slides, whether we should start to think about where to interject a comment or try to address one of these issues that have been brought up, approach it directly within the slideshow.
Well, so
We don't have
that's-
any, I'm
that's
already
just
gonna
it.
be going through this pretty quickly to
Yeah,
get to meet
but
the
I don't
timeframe.
think cost and traffic get
We don't, it's not our
addressed.
purview.
Right,
That's not
those
our
aren't,
purview.
yeah, for,
The only way you can address traffic is with respect to the uses, because we've limited
Yeah.
the uses to the reuse of the existing buildings, but they're primarily residential uses with an emphasis on senior housing, which generates less traffic than other types of housing, and
Right.
the long-term care facility, which again, I think Abramson Associates indicated that was, had less traffic and
Said
Yeah, there's-
negligible is.
negligible,
Yeah.
yeah.
Is what they said.
So the commercial development is very
Yeah.
limited to
Yeah.
Pilgrim Hall and the Gatehouse, and then the Retreat House by special permit. And, given Dr. Sundquist's presentation as to what the seminary has done with the Retreat House, I don't think they're going to leave that anytime soon. I hope not, at any rate, because they've refurbished it and it's lovely on the inside. So, it would require a special permit for commercial use, but I don't see that happening in the next 10 years or so, unless I'm wrong. So I think in terms of the slides, the only one that really, I think, just lost everybody was the one on the FAR.
right.
And in terms of the FAR, I think it's just to say that the density on the campus will, or intensity of development is more accurate, but will be no greater than exists right now. And in the middle campus, it would be equivalent, what did you say, to, was it?
Middle campus is equivalent to 2 acre to 1 acre zoning.
Yeah,
On
and
the-
that's what you can say.
Yeah.
And that's very clear to people.
Yeah, and that's easy to digest.
Easy to
Yeah.
digest.
And on
Should we
top-
let Emil run through the presentation, or?
Yeah,
Yeah,
Okay. If we do, what I'd like to suggest is that we not interrupt him, but take the slides and write your questions and comments and
Yep.
suggestions on the slides, but don't interrupt him so we can keep with the flow, and we can also sense sort of how much time it takes.
I'm gonna.
Is that-
I think
is that-
that's great.
is that
I think
reasonable?
that sounds amazing. And do we say how much time we're hoping it takes for
Well,
his part?
let's
Okay.
let him go.
I
and
didn't
then-
know if there was a goal that we were looking to,
The four of us, we're looking to keep that within about 30 minutes.
okay, great.
And I can just say this, in terms of my introduction to all of this, it's really just to thank all the people who have been involved over the years. And that's, a fairly long list, but not that long. And also to just maybe note the purposes and I'll have to see. But it's really more of a thank you to all the people who really worked on this really hard over the years and spent a lot of time, and then turn it over to Emil. And then I think it's really important that the people get to ask questions. That to me is, let people come up and say they support it or not, as the case may be, but that's my take on things, so go ahead. I won't say another word.
Mark, do you want to set up the slides?
Yep.
You want to talk about the first slide, Marnie, and then I'll do the second one?
Oh, that was my introduction.
Okay, we can go right to the second slide.
So
Marty
why,
was going to speak while this was on the
what
screen.
I was going to really say is, why are we here? We're here to approve this Browns Hill overlay district, but in evaluating it, the people voting have to understand that it operates in concert with the development agreement. And the two of them together provide these enormous benefits to the town, as will be evident in the presentations that follow. How's that? Short and sweet?
That's good. Don't get into a lot of detail on
Okay, I
that.
won't.
Okay, again, no interruptions.
All right, second slide then. This presentation is going to focus on the rationale behind the BHOD initiative and the benefits to the community. The key questions involved, as you can see on the screen, what we aim to achieve, what elements of the site will be preserved or altered, types of land uses proposed, their locations, and the scale of development anticipated. This helps frame the scope and objectives guiding the project. Next. So why are we choosing to undertake this effort? The 2024 master plan encourages reflection on underlying reasons such as community needs, environmental concerns, and development pressures. That necessitate a thoughtful approach to managing the Browns Hill area. Next. The planning board had a workshop in January 2023 to discuss strategies to guide writing the BHOD. The first decision we made was to consider the entire site comprehensively to prevent fragmented or piecemeal development. The second decision, prepare a set of guiding principles to balance fiscal responsibility, social benefits, and environmental stewardship. Key outcomes would include increasing town revenues and promote flexible housing options and protect the natural and cultural resources. Next. What specific site features are valued? Well, step number one, the planning board, and we find this in our open space, is to identify and delineate aspects of or elements of this specific site that are valued and should be preserved. Again, this is specific site as opposed to guiding principles. Heritage landscape, historically and cultural significant buildings, scenic vistas, buffers, mature trees and steep slopes, and public access to the site. Recognizing these elements at the outset is crucial for maintaining the character and ecological integrity of the entire campus as the property transitions over time. Next. Site context is shown here, referencing key streets such as Woodbury Bridge, Essex Streets, and highlighting the Gordon Conwell Theological Seminary property perimeter in yellow. The slide also identifies abutting zoning classifications such as R1A, R1B, and RA, and the acreage of the property. This spatial concept or context is essential for regulating development constraints and opportunities. Next. This slide highlights all existing buildings and their locations for reference later in the presentation. Legacy buildings are shown in yellow, educational buildings in white, apartments in blue, and the wastewater treatment facility in green. The legacy buildings including the Retreat House, Pilgrim Hall, and Gatehouse, as well as educational facilities, apartments, and wastewater treatment plant. Next. The focus here is on areas excluded from new development to protect sensitive environmental and cultural features. These include areas with wetlands, as you can see on, it's all of the area within the polygram that's drawn there on that diagram. Everything, including wetlands on the left-hand side of that sheet, heritage landscape in the middle, and steep slopes on the right are all designated as protected or no-build areas. This careful delineation helps ensure that development respects natural constraints and preserves important site characteristics. Next. Excluding the protected areas, what remains are the subdistricts for potential development, specifically the upper campus at 20 acres plus, and middle campus at 18 plus acres. These potential development subdistricts are shown in yellow, guiding where growth can occur within the overall site framework. Next. There are 5 tables within with data that shape the overall BHOD code. These tables define the rules and standards that regulate development, intensity, building dimensions, and other key factors to ensure orderly and appropriate growth within the sub-district. Next. Table 1 establishes how the site is subdivided for regulating purposes and references a zoning map that locates the 5 sub-districts. Table 1 summarizes development and permitting requirements, including by right, reuse or renovation of apartments and legacy buildings, special permits for building expansions or rebuilding, and regulations for new construction, providing a clear regulatory framework. Next. Along with Table 1, you have the BHOD zoning map shows the 5 sub-districts with their names and respective acreage titled. Upper campus has the educational buildings and the gatehouse. The middle campus is the blue area with legacy buildings and wastewater treatment. The lower campus in purple with existing apartments and the heritage landscape in a light green color in the center. And the natural zones with wetlands, the darker green on the left-hand side of that diagram. The map also highlights underground town reservoir on the upper campus, a north campus, and key streets for orientation. Table 2 is, next slide. Table 2, use regulations. Land uses are stipulated here. The existing legacy buildings and multifamily dwellings, townhouses, senior housing, long-term health care facilities, community centers, and accessory uses. Those are the land uses that are written in this chart. Table 2 specifies which uses are allowed by right or require special permit in each sub-district. Now, you cannot read this from a distance, this chart on the right-hand side, but what it does is stipulate it identifies 4 different types of uses: residential, commercial, community facilities, and accessory uses. It shows where they're permitted, what particular sub-districts, and what the permitting process is, by right, special permit. And those that do not have either a P or an SB are not allowed. So uses not shown in this table are not allowed. Next slide. Building types. Building types are the organizing feature of the BHOD. You don't really have to understand what that means, but characteristics of each building type are stipulated in Table 3 that relate specific building type to its use and form as additional measures to control development. Next slide. Table 4 is dimensional regulations, and it manages building height, footprint, floor area, and spacing. This will become evident a little bit later why these are important. Footprint and floor area per building are derived from multiples of average dwelling size, unit sizes. These standards help control the scale and massing of new construction. And these will be used in relation to what you see in Table 5, which is the next slide. This is kind of the culminating slide in terms of the tables, because it is the density standards. This is what it comes down to. The density is measured by floor area ratios for each sub-district, for example, and the floor area ratio will be explained in the next slide, but it is basically the gross floor area of the building divided by the gross square footage of the lot. For example, lower campus sub-districts have by right development fixed limits around 102,000 square feet. Middle and upper campuses have ranges subject to special permits. Finally, the cumulative allowable building area for the entire property is capped at 400,000 square feet, identical to the existing gross square footage on the site. Next slide. The concept of floor area ratio is the ratio of building floor area divided by lot size. FARs are zoning tools, not design tools. When used in conjunction with other dimensional standards such as height, footprint, total floor area, and building spacing, FARs define density. And there's also examples of residential types that you can see in the lower left-hand corner. FARs for RA, R1B, R1A, and 1/4 acre lots. As I said, if you go back to Table 5, the middle campus is somewhere between 0.05 and 0.1. So it's between 2 acre and 1 acre zoning. The upper campus is somewhere between 0.1 and 0.15, so it's roughly 1 acre to 1/2 acre zoning. Next slide. The BHOD zoning bylaws achievements are preserves, heritage landscape, historic buildings, scenic vistas, mature trees, buffers for privacy, steep slopes from development, and it provides diverse housing options, including senior housing. It balances development across sub-districts, and it caps the total site development at existing levels. Commercial development is strictly limited to reuse of legacy buildings, ensuring compatibility with the site's character. This is where I would introduce Mark, then, who will then talk about the GPOD.
I
We do
will
on
point
time.
out that that was excellent. 10 minutes, a little,
was
just a
perfect.
little over 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Yep.
It felt like you were rushing a little bit toward the end.
Yeah.
I think you could relax a little bit, because
Yeah, I
it's,
think that this is good.
Talk more about the FAR, that's the only.
well, no, not
No.
more words, but you don't have to rush your
Where's
words.
Pat Norton?
We're gonna take the shepherd's hook and
Yeah.
pull you off stage if you talk about FAR.
All right.
No, I think that was excellent. You got interrupted several times today when you were sharing, but I felt like that the pace and like it all made sense and it wasn't too much information.
Right, this
So it was
this
really great.
this
What
is
you
good.
just
This
presented
is
was
good.
just like perfect.
Yeah, and
So-
so if, as Jonathan said, it felt just a little rushed, so you can
Toward the end.
actually take a
Yeah,
deep breath.
take a breath,
and-
yeah.
And maybe go to 11 or 12 minutes, it's okay.
Oh, okay. That means another slide.
So I
Don't
had
get
a
interrupted because at town meeting, so that's.
So I had a couple very, very minor comments that could be addressed in the slides. The only thing that was words was early on, the heritage landscape comes up, and for the uninitiated, they're not going to know what that is.
Yeah.
And you might just say, the heritage landscape, which is the area around the original estate house on the hill. Something like that, just so that they have a
Yes.
clue what it is.
Yeah, that's helpful.
In
And
this,
also the origin of the name.
Yeah, yep.
yeah.
Yeah, just very quickly.
Right.
That would be helpful, because that's, to the uninitiated, that's just going to be words.
Yeah, and you know what? I
Correct.
actually, that's good to do that, but I can do that in the introduction because.
That's fine,
what-
too.
What I'm thinking is to reference the Hamilton Reconnaissance Report.
Yeah.
Because we had that, and I can talk about the heritage landscape
That'd be even
then.
better.
That
So-
would be good to do
So
that.
the only.
Because that picture actually shows the
Yeah,
heritage
yeah.
landscape, the first.
Oh, the first slide, so I can talk about that, yes. So the only thing, and this is a suggestion, so you, after you talk about the BHOD tables, and you say, how is it zoned, and you talk about table 1. I think I might invert the next slide with table 1, and that's identify the sub-districts first, and then go to table 1.
I think that'd be clearer, too. I felt like I kept wanting to flip ahead to it when he was talking.
Yeah, to
Yeah.
put the map before the
Yes.
discussion of the
Yep.
So
tables.
just switch the order of the two.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and that's the only comment I had.
So I had a couple other simple graphic comments
Yeah.
Or you want me to send it?
that, for the slides.
Just these two switching.
So, on the slide with the context, wetlands are labeled in the big wetland area, but then there's an area that's unlabeled, and either an arrow that gets over there or another word
Next
for
one
it.
down.
Next to Woodbury Street?
Yeah, next slide. So
Yeah.
that,
Yep.
next to the word Woodbury Street, either an arrow from the original wetlands label, or say it again.
Yeah, I'd say it again.
Yeah. Just add the word again. You could tip it to the side to make it fit.
Yeah.
Are you doing that in preview, or what are you doing it in Word? Can you twist text?
It's gonna be in a text box,
Right, but can you twist it?
like 90 degrees, and
45 to make it fit.
I'll try.
Yeah, if you can't, then an arrow.
Yeah.
But just something to label it.
Oh, so people know that
think-
part's wetlands too,
I think
yeah.
even if I cross the lines on each side, I think it's real.
I wouldn't do that, because a concern that I have, I'm just going to stand up here for a second, is one graphic consideration here is that, like down in here, it's hard to figure out the difference between figure and ground. You're not sure whether this is the area or this is the area. And if you bridge across, it's going to make even more confusion. The way you could fix that is if you put a whitewash in these areas.
Yeah, I was just
Or
thinking
put-
that, or like a little
or
the
put word in
striping.
there. But if you straddle, it's going to even make more confusion in the figure ground.
I think you're right about putting a light something over those areas.
But it's less work just to label it.
Yeah, just.
Trying to
I'll
keep
label it.
less work.
label it.
But the other thing I think I wanna do in this one is to indicate that this represents 50% of the entire.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
That'd be
good.
great,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah.
So,
So anyway, just watch the figure ground issue, so don't straddle, don't get outside the red polygon, or it'll start to get confusing.
yeah.
And then, building types. If you could just give a couple examples of what a building type is. You said you didn't want to get into it, but then for the uninitiated, they don't know what that means.
I know, I thought, okay.
Just say, for example,
See,
Yeah.
multifamily dwellings, that's the apartments.
you could say
That's the
multifamily townhouses, just give an
I
example
had
of
it
what
a
that
little
term
longer
means.
this morning, and it kind of droned on a little bit, so, yeah.
Yeah.
It could be just two examples.
I think the only place, the real examples are needed, the multifamily dwellings, that's the apartments, townhouses, and the long-term care facility is to reference the resident at Riverbend, because that gives a size.
And then on floor area, I actually thought that the description, I like pretended I knew nothing about floor area and I just listened. And I thought that the comparison of, the existing zoning densities was really clear in my head. What's not clear is if I'm actually looking at the slide, I am not sure what's meant by the two buildings. There's
Right.
nothing to give me context for what you're telling me about those two buildings. Can we go to that slide? The floor area ratio slide?
Yep.
Well, what I should have said is that the colored portions of those buildings represent the floor area, the top one being a half story, which I wouldn't get into. This came from UTU. But the colored areas, the gray and the blue, represent floor areas. So you would take a sum of all the floor areas, divide it by what you see within the red line. That's the total lot area, and that gives you the FAR. I don't know whether that,
It's still confusing why those particular diagrams. So, I think what, again, I'm erasing everything I know.
Why don't we just take that out and make the examples of residential floor areas big? Because I think that,
Yeah, that would be good. Or what you could do is, maybe you don't need two of these. Maybe if you just got rid of maybe this one. And the point is that what you're trying to do is you're saying it's the sum of these.
correct.
And it could be,
It's the aggregate of all.
for example, in this diagram, it's the sum of those shaded floors
Right.
divided by the floor area. But to have two buildings, it's like, wait, what's the difference between these buildings?
Well, this was because a place like, say, the upper campus, or even the lower campus, middle campus, you're gonna have more than one buildings if it's not lotted where every building sits on a lot.
I understand that,
So-
but you can't get to that concept. And so when people are looking at this diagram, like, I'm looking at it and thinking, okay, how come there's two buildings, how come there aren't three? Which floor area is it referring to? But all it's doing is, the sentence that it's telling us, I think, is you have a lot area, and you have a building, and it has a stack of floors, and it's the sum of the stack of floors,
What about if?
divided,
out
as
to
a ratio to the floor area.
The diagram in the top right, where it said you're gonna see, there's red lot lines, two colors for floor areas, and you can see where they relate to the buildings.
Yep.
And this whole slide is about two things, lot lines and floor area, that's all it's about.
Yeah, and the
Could
floor
I-
areas are stacked.
could I make a suggestion?
Sure.
Skip all that.
You could.
'Cause-
You could.
And what I would do is then take the floor areas for the sub-districts, .335, .527, the range of .52, and compare that, just have another column
Oh, that's a
with
great
the
idea. Yeah, get
FAR
it going, yep.
for what we're allowing.
Yep.
So that they can immediately see
Yep.
our FAR compared to what they can
Yeah,
absolutely
because how it's arrived
understand.
at is not critical here. It's
Right.
really just, what's the answer?
What's the answer?
What's the bottom line?
So
How does
do
it
you see
compare to
what I'm
I have?
saying? Just
Yes.
take that last column from table 5
Yep.
and compare it to the examples.
Do you agree with that, Emil?
Yeah, you mean put it on the.
Put it on the slide, get rid of the diagram.
Yeah,
Are you saying get rid of the diagram?
Yeah, get rid of the diagram. No, but-
I pretended, I know that you know what it is, I know what it is,
I
but
think when you ask somebody, somebody asked a question to me today, what's GSF?
yeah.
Said, is it square footage? I said, yeah, it's gross square footage. What's the word? Gross? And, but the idea that floor area, I think, confuses people. well, is it
One story or all the
one
stories?
story? Is it,
But you could
that's
say
why
that
I think
sentence.
that this one is valuable.
Yes.
That-
Then-
I think the most valuable thing on this, other than describing, since we use FAR in Table 5, what's valuable to me is the relationship between what people wouldn't probably know, the residential FARs.
Well,
on the
that's why
left-hand
I
side.
was suggesting putting a direct comparison to what we're allowing to the examples, because the diagram, I,
It's non-specific, and its sentence is, it's a stack of floors. It's not just the first floor. It's a stack of floors.
Stack of
That's the
floors.
sentence that you're after.
Yeah.
And, but that sentence isn't visible in the graphic without saying the sentence.
right.
Yeah. I could-
That's the
I
issue.
could say it that way. a
You could
stack-
say it.
stack of
So,
floors.
but
I
you
can
won't,
make
then you
that
won't.
one smaller.
Yeah, make
Excuse
that,
me.
make that
I have to
diagram
make that
smaller and do
smaller in order
Marnie's
to-
comparison bigger.
In order to put in
Yeah.
Yeah.
Marnie's.
Yeah.
So you're talking about the FAR for
Yeah.
Just
middle
take,
campus and?
no, just take this column
Yeah, and reproduce it?
and reproduce it next to this.
Yeah, okay, I can do
And then they'll immediately see,
that. All right,
and that's what you were saying. You
Yeah.
know, you were going back and forth between the slides,
Yeah.
saying, so the middle campus would have, but then you could then just say that, because people
Yeah.
could see it directly, and this could be tiny up here, because,
I
you
can
know,
say just,
this
let me
floor
give you an
area
example that
ratio
shows.
involves math. And, you know, it's just, it's not.
Okay.
So you could almost just say that it's a stack of floors, not just the first floor.
Right.
correct.
You know,
I think that's the concept that they don't, that's why I thought this was valuable. This-
yes, but you got to say something about it, because
Gotta say
the
something.
graphic alone doesn't tell the story.
Right, but I actually think that getting to FAR, people aren't gonna remember
No,
how
I
you
know
got
that.
there anyway, you know?
But that's why that diagram could be small and off to the side. Some people will get it, some people won't. The big deal is,
that
here's how it
comparison.
compares to what you know, what you live in.
Right, exactly.
I agree with all of that, and the thing I was trying to do, why this is so kind of technical, I wanted to just let people know there was a lot of thought behind this.
Oh, yeah.
This was
Well,
not pulled
maybe
out of the
that's
air.
my introduction. A
What?
lot of thought went into it.
Years of thought behind it.
Somebody just pull something out of the air and say, oh, let's do this.
And a lot of people came to the table, and a lot of people there's been a lot of give and take, I think is very important, because there's been a lot of figuring out,
Yeah,
you know, since we started this 2 years ago, yeah.
So I think that while the reaction to this was deer in the headlights, according to you from the first go-round, I think you could very quickly take this to a very compelling slide, and it's almost there.
okay, I'll work on it.
Perfect.
I'll work on it, yeah.
Do you have more?
I don't think so.
I had a few comments. So if you look at slide, I think it's 6. You see how the entire outline is in yellow? I
Yes.
think we should try to keep that consistent through the next 7, 8, and 9 as well, because if you go to 7, you see the round circles, but you kind of lose it's very faint, the yellow line around it.
Yeah, yeah.
I would keep the consistency of the border in 6 throughout 7, 8, and 9, because even if you go to 8, I mean, you see, click on 8, Mark.
It's
know,
the red one, you don't want it there, I think.
Well, we want to show the relationship to the entire,
Yep, I
Right?
agree. Yep.
so that was one comment, just keeping that existing border throughout all of them.
I'm gonna have to do these all over again now. 'cause
Oh, no,
I
don't-
can't draw the yellow line on all of them. I could if I started off with the yellow line, then repeat it, just do
Oh.
duplicate. So that means I have to transfer the information from one. back.
Could you,
no,
could you
that's too much
darken the
work.
existing yellow line?
The
Like, could you-
dotted line?
Oh, yeah.
This bigger?
To do it, I have,
line type of that, or?
everything has to be drawn there, every single.
Oh, no.
Oh, no, never mind then, that's, I didn't realize it was that much.
No,
there.
it's not
I
that
don't think it's.
No, it's okay.
I think people will get it.
Yeah,
That's
it's
fine.
fine.
That's
It was
fine.
just if it was
I agree
easy.
with you, I would do it
I didn't realize it was that, no, don't worry about it.
more,
And he's only got thousands of hours in it so far, so what's a few more hundred?
What's another couple hundred
what-
dollars?
And then my next question is, if you go to the table slides, are the tables being handed out at the meeting? Because these are very busy and hard to read, so is it possible?
impossible to read, yeah.
Is it possible to have the printout of the tables?
They're in the warrant, aren't
They're,
they?
I think they're in the warrant.
Okay.
Oh, you might mention that the tables are in the warrant.
Something, yeah, exactly, because you refer to it while you're speaking there, let them know it's in the warrant, that
It's
they
in the
probably,
warrant
hopefully
if
they have with them.
actually want it, yeah.
Right.
Okay, great.
And then, the table that has the, can you go down a little, please? The 400 max circled in red.
Oh, that's
Table five.
Table 5.
Yeah. I think that is super important to stress. If you stress it in more than one way,
Yeah.
you know, we talked about during one meeting, like the idea that it's 400 max. If you take off over here, you have to give up over here. And I don't know if we can stress that more than one way, because I think it's important. People are worried about overdevelopment, right? So
Yeah.
that's important to bring up, I think.
Okay.
I think that's all I had. Yep, thank you.
Thank you. I don't know if Darcy has anything or.
Darcy, are you
or
there?
Matt?
Yes, I am. I'm eating an apple.
How's the baby watch going?
Well, we're waiting. See what happens.
I was in labor.
Oh, wow,
Oh, I hope that wasn't oversharing. I hope not.
thanks.
Oops.
Too late now.
That's fine.
Right, I can make these changes.
So, Mark, did you have any comments?
I thought it was good. I think, Marnie, maybe if you, it can never hurt to sort of step back and say, like, why are we doing this? Really emphasize that, even if you repeat it occasionally, because I think that, less than the tables and all the details is kind of like, why did this whole effort start? So maybe that's something, Marnie, you say in the.
Yeah, I mean, it really goes back to 2018, and a
Yeah.
task force was created in 2018, and David Smith was chair of that task force. And so the town and the seminary were talking for a long time, and then in 2022, that's when things started to kind of heat up because, well, it was post-COVID, so the seminary's educational model was challenged by the closure of so many, well, I think the campus closed, didn't it? But it was impacted severely. And that was when the Master Plan Steering Committee approached the seminary, and then the seminary approached the planning board, and the conversation started, and we began to work on this. And then there was a working group, and that's when Rick Mitchell began interacting, I think, with Dr. Barnes, but that led to the engagement of Abramson and Associates and Gamble and Associates. And that was the reuse strategy, and about that time, that's when the planning board really began work. And we worked through a part of 2022 and almost all of 2023 on this.
That's a great timeline. However, I think the meat of the matter actually in FAQ number 3, why shouldn't the campus just revert to the underlying zoning, is more germane. Why are we doing this? Because that doesn't make sense. That third question.
So
You
you
might,
want me to-
instead of focusing so much on timeline, that this happened, then this happened, then this happened, if we do nothing, here's what could happen.
Right, that's kind of
That's
what.
why we're here,
The 3
'cause if we
points
do
that you brought
nothing-
up, I think there were 3 things you said today was, it could be sold to another nonprofit, and we're in the same place with no tax revenue.
Yep.
It could,
49 single-family houses that denude the hillside and welcome Bridge Street times 50.
and you're still gonna end up with kids in the school system, that's a net negative. And,
By campus.
and then
It
40,
is.
a possible, like 40B.
Well, you know, we say 49 single-family houses, but if it's in the GPOD, we have to cut that in half, you
Got
know.
it.
Well, don't use the number 49.
Yeah.
Cover it with single-family houses.
Right.
And if you didn't like Bridge Street, you won't like that. And it's full of steep slopes. So I think you could focus on the root of it is in the third FAQ. It's
All
all
right.
right in there in that paragraph.
I could probably do both in about 3 or 4 minutes.
Yeah,
I
but
want
less
to,
timeline, more why.
yeah, I want to thank the people who've been engaged in this
Oh,
process.
absolutely,
though.
yeah.
I mean, it really, even the abutters, I mean, is,
We've come out with a better solution
yeah, I
because
mean,
of all the
it made us
input.
think
Yeah.
hard about it.
Yeah.
Whether we've actually satisfied their needs or not is another question. But they've made us think about how to
Absolutely.
protect them as much as possible, while simultaneously addressing other.
But your closing argument is, you know, the why not just leave it as it is? Because it's a real bad idea.
And
Here's
this
why.
slide, I think in particular, kind of ties it together, so, you know, I would say, don't be afraid to spend a little extra time on this slide, just
Yeah.
making sure those points land with the audience.
Yeah, that was really great. That's like missing the forest for the trees, not to do that. Any other comments?
All right,
I don't think so. I think it would be helpful to do it with the select board chair and Marnie, your introduction, just to sort of see how that looks with everyone speaking together. So I'll definitely try to organize
Yeah.
at least a Zoom or something so we
Yeah.
can do that.
Marwan, since you're the only one in the audience, did you want to, do you have any comments?
We miss hearing from you, so.
And I don't know if the seminary is going to be given an actual role, but there's nothing
was
that would
wondering-
prevent you as a town resident from speaking on behalf of the seminary.
Yeah, well, thanks again. This is remarkable. I think it's really puts it out very clearly. Yeah, I will be available. I'll be sitting down front. If you think it appropriate for me to say something at the front end, just in saying that we're in agreement with this, we're happy to do that. Happy to answer any of the questions. The tax thing, I think, is really important because my understanding is that FinCom had their discussion before the assessor came up with her number. And
She just gave it to me yesterday.
Yeah, she just.
She didn't
and
have it
yeah,
until
I talked to her
yesterday.
yesterday, I communicated with her yesterday, so I don't think they have that, but that's a key one.
I'm following up with him on that.
Okay, yeah, I do agree, I know the chronology isn't necessarily super important. One thing, it was the seminary that was approached by the planning, the master planning steering committee back before it was looking to, you know, before that issue of perhaps selling the campus. So that came to us, we said, sure, and then that began the conversation. And yes, then the seminary is starting to look at those alternatives, which I think then prompted everybody to say, could it actually happen? So, but at this point, as we all know, with this particular overlay district, the seminary is going to stay. And that may be something to say. Understandably, of course, it could move in the future sometime, but the point of this is to allow the seminary to stay for many, many more years. And so there's really, the intent is no change, right? The apartments are there.
So we'll have to, ask the select board whether, after Bill Olson makes his comments, whether he would want you to say, yes, we're in support of this, and that's why we executed this development agreement. He's going to say what the development contains, and so I think it has to be clear that if the town doesn't vote for the overlay district, they lose all the benefits of the development agreement. The development agreement is contingent, and all the money is contingent on the passage of the Browns Hill overlay district.
Yeah. Yeah, and people have called it a threat. I've tried, every time anybody says it's a threat, it's not a threat. The reality is the seminary will need to do something. And the current zoning doesn't allow for much creativity. It's 40B or putting up all those single-family residences, which the seminary does not want. It will not solve its problem. It's not what we want, but that is the reality. It will not stay the same that it is right now. So in the answer, what happens if we don't do this? It's not stasis. It's not just going to be what's there. The seminary just will not be able to do that. So that's, I think, a nuance that may be helpful for you.
Well, and one of the things that came up today was somebody said, because Dr. Sundquist had shared, and then they're like, well, he said that, we want to keep the campus the same, but the pushback is, yes, we do, but sometimes you don't get what you want. So now if we have to go to Plan B, it may be different. This is what we'd like, and we see that we can keep what we want and all these things. But, because they were like, well, you know, why would they do a 40B? And it's like, because there's a reality that something has to happen.
Right.
So I think maybe that's helpful too, is for them to know that at this point, something is gonna happen and, needs to happen. Another thing that came up was, somebody mentioned about this, well, they felt like we're rushing. We did, like, right, am I right? Somebody said that.
Rushing, I thought, oh, man.
And they also said, what was the other thing about, I don't know, it'll come back to me, but
3 years
anyway.
seems kind of slow, doesn't it?
We've been at this for 3
What?
years. We've been
I
at
was
this
like,
for 3
what?
years.
Oh, no, the other thing was that the zone, that if we don't pass it about the 2-year,
Oh, well, that's just true. That's just a
right,
statement.
yeah, that was just a statement. So we could bring it back before 2 years, because we had voted
We
favorably.
voted to approve
Yeah,
it.
so anyways, so there isn't a 2-year thing, because somebody brought that up, but.
But just let us know if there's anything you need from us. I'll plan on being down there, and if the select board or you think that I should step up to say anything,
Yeah,
I'm
we'll
happy to
be
do
in
it.
communication.
But thank you very much. It's looking really, really, really good.
Thank you,
We have to
Myron.
get out the vote.
Yeah, that's their job.
Get out the
They're
vote.
working on it.
Okay, any further comments or discussion about our materials?
I thought Emil's presentation was really clear.
Yeah.
Again, I
Oh,
looked
I
at it
did
with,
too.
through fresh eyes, and I thought it was really clear and
really-
compelling, so.
I really commend him for the
Yeah.
work that he did on that.
Thank you.
I would like to thank you also, and it sounds like a wonderful presentation overall. I really like it.
Okay, thank you, Darcy. Anything else? Well, thank you, everyone, for your comments and constructive criticism. So if there's nothing else,
Wait, would you like a motion to adjourn 10 minutes
Yeah.
before 9?
yes.
Actually, 13 minutes before 9.
Wow,
Wow.
that's good for us.
It
Do I
is.
have a second?
Second,
Okay, Jonathan Poor,
Jonathan Poor, aye.
Emil Dahlquist,
Emil Dahlquist, aye.
Darcy Dale,
Darcy Dale, aye.
Beth Herr,
Aye.
and Marnie Crouch, aye. Now, I want to see everybody at the special town meeting. Because if you don't come to the special town meeting, we're not having another meeting before 2026.
That's right.
Do we decide to cancel?
Yes.
We did.
Oh, good. I wasn't at that meeting, so. Oh, perfect.
Voted to cancel that
I didn't even have
last-
to bring it up. You guys decided that without me. Woo!
Well, you know, there was no argument.
Yeah, I bet. There was no-
Except for Pat Norton.
Yeah, I'm sure Pat was
wanted
really
more
upset
meetings.
about
I
that.
was really upset, yeah.
Likes extra meetings.